Okay, so location number 5, 82nd Airborne related sites, an area known locally as the Warfield, which is the former campsite of the 325th Glider Infantry Regiment here in Scraptoft in Leicester. There's part of the original former campsite, former POW site building on the old campsite. The American site was almost predominantly tented. So there wasn't any permanent buildings here apart from huts that were built to house regimental weapons and rations and equipment and things like that. In the distance over there you can see Leicester City. You can see the high-rise towers in the background, in the mist in the background there. So 325th Glider Infantry Regiment, veterans of Italy, Normandy, obviously Market Garden, the Battle of the Bulge and the push into Germany during the Second World War. And obviously present here at the time, just before Normandy, was a Medal of Honour winner, Charles de Glopper, who won the Medal of Honour on the west side of the Murderay River, part of the overall battle for control of the Lafayette Causeway, for essentially sacrificing himself to save his platoon that were cut off in fields close to Corkiny. And he stood up with his BAR basically to draw fire so that they could escape, and that was how he won his Medal of Honour. Pretty brave guy, very tall guy. There's currently a big battle at the minute to essentially prevent this field from turning into that. Last time I came here, none of these houses were here. They've all been built in essentially about 18 months since I was last on site. I did get an email from the parish council about 6 months ago, essentially asking me to write a short paragraph as to why I feel there's a huge importance to this field remaining a horse pasture, which is what it is at the moment. It's for me, it's a difficult one. Obviously, it would be a great shame to see the field built upon, but at the end of the day, it is just a field. One of the suggestions I made to the council was that if the fight to keep it a pasture was lost, to try and make some sort of agreement with the builders that do, you know, eventually purchase the site and build houses on site, to name the streets after members of the 325th, particularly de Glopper. I thought that would be the nicest thing that they could do in that instance. Big trees in the background, sort of around this area here. There's a golf club. And so if you can picture it, in the whole area directly in front of where I stand now was row after row of pyramid tents. The golf club was directly to the rear of the camp. There were actually officers with the 325th who had a liking for golf, who did actually become active, paid up members of the golf club, and whenever they had free time they went and played golf there. I can't remember the exact dates of it, but we're talking just before Market Garden. If I'm remembering it correctly. It might have actually been before Normandy, I can't remember, but I'll clarify it when I post a video on YouTube. There was a mass parachute drop by the 504th Parachute Infantry Regiment into a drop zone that is just on the other side of where the golf course was or is now, an area of quite vast open fields, which is still there now, and a lot of them drifted in the high winds into the tall trees around the golf club, within sight of all the members of the 325th Glider Infantry Regiment who were in camp at the time. As you can imagine, given the let's say the no love lost relationship between the glider riders and the paratroopers of the 82nd at the time, they found it most comical, and shouted things up into the trees such as, I bet you'd rather have landed in a glider, things like that, or landing in a glider is safer, which obviously, as we know, wasn't really true. And it wasn't until the officers came running into the campsite or into the company streets and said, get off your arses, come and help them, and they actually helped them to get out of the trees. All of the glider riders climbed the trees to help release the paratroopers from their harnesses and get them down. No idea at all as to how many are actually captured in the trees, but huge proportion of the regiment actually landed on the golf course itself, on the fairways, on the greens. I'm sure it was a sight to behold. Actually, the if you go onto the golf club's website, I can't remember the name of the golf club off the top of my head. They have actual diary entries that mention the parachute drop and the fact that a lot of the guys were caught in the trees at the time. So yeah, this is location number 5, I believe it is. The Warfield in Scraptoft, which was the campsite of the 325th Glider Infantry Regiment from February to September 1944, and then after that, when the tents were removed, huts were built and it became a prisoner of war camp. So I'm at 82nd Airborne site number 6, and this one's particularly personal to me because I've come to the Edith Cole Memorial Park in Scraptoft, where the memorial that I built and raised money for and built back in 2013 is situated. So due to, well, I guess you can call them political reasons, the memorial is for both the 325th Glider Infantry Regiment and the 504th Parachute Infantry Regiment, who were based in Scraptoft down the road. They're only a couple of miles apart. I took a video earlier at the Shady Lane Arboretum where the 504th memorial was, and made every effort to try and get a memorial there, but because it's council owned, it was a lengthy process, and although it looked possible, it would have taken a few years for me to get to the point where a memorial there was feasible. So we decided to place it here in the Edith Cole Memorial Park. If you've seen my other video, well, I will actually try and tie the two together. So if you've seen the first part of this video, you'll have seen my video at the Shady Lane, at the Warfield, the home of the campsite of the 325th Glider Infantry Regiment. As you may have seen, it's not the ideal location for a memorial. It's dangerous and there's not a great place to stop. So along with the parish council, we made the decision to build the memorial on this spot. I'll hold the phone there so that you can see what it says, or for the benefit of those with poor eyesight, it just simply says, in memory of the men of the United States 325th Glider Infantry Regiment and 504th Parachute Infantry Regiment, who was part of the United States 82nd Airborne Division, were camped in the villages of Scraptoft and Evington, Leicestershire, when preparing for combat in the European theatre of operations in World War II. Their devotion to duty and selfless sacrifices in helping to end tyranny in Europe will never be forgotten. Through the passage of time, their memory is still cherished. The field does have some importance to the 325th because it was used as a baseball field, a recreational area for the guys. So we did actually build a baseball diamond here. It's a big open, relatively flat area. So they built a baseball diamond here, and this is where they came and played their games. They also played American football here, and I dare say, you know, various other recreational activities. I can't remember off the top of my head the reason why it's called the Edith Cole Memorial Park, but there you go. So if you do want to come and visit the memorial, that's where you'll find it. Just to give you an idea, it's tucked right into a corner, on the corner that's opposite the church. So behind that bunch of trees there is Scraptoft Church. So if I walk in this direction, you will begin to see the church. Lovely old English church, and in the grounds behind it, and thankfully it has now been fully restored, you should be able to see Scraptoft Hall, which is that old building there, which is an old, you know, stately home type building in Scraptoft, it's now been restored, I believe, to flats or apartments, and a number of houses have been built on the estate itself. But to give you a reference point, there's the church, and the memorial is tucked into the corner under the tree there. And in the summer you do get lots of wild flowers grow around it. It's a beautiful little spot. So yeah, just to give those who haven't already seen just an idea of it, we decided to start a project called the All-American Memorials Project in 2012 to raise money to build a memorial to the 507th Parachute Infantry Regiment at Tollerton Hall, which also got built and looks very similar to that memorial, and also memorials to the 325th and the 504th. And obviously we made the decision, as I've just explained, to build the 325th and 504th memorial in the same place. whereas the 507th have one dedicated to themselves at their former campsite at Tollerton Hall in Nottinghamshire. So that's another 82nd Airborne Division location, the Edith Cole Memorial Park in Scraptoft, used for baseball and American football by the 325th Glider Infantry Regiment, and up in that corner back there is the memorial to the 325th and the 504th, which was built in 2013.